Today's going to be a fun day of exploring places that are normally underwater. It's incredible to think that normally all this would be underwater, including myself. Later, I'm going to show you the large discharge pipe that runs underneath here that drains this water and some other interesting areas. To learn more, just come along and explore with me. It's an absolutely gorgeous morning here. Early February, it's about 11:15 in the morning, around 36, 37 degrees. Going to get up into the mid-40s this afternoon and little to no wind. But I want to thank you for coming along exploring, because today I'm coming to you from the Francis E. Walter Dam Reservoir, the place I visited for the first time during a roadside finds video in 2023. This was one of my stops. And I came back in the summer to do some kayaking. And both times I vowed to return over the winter. That's because the water gets lowered significantly. And as you can see, it is a whole different landscape down there. Things that are normally underwater are now exposed, including a road, some cliff faces, and other things. And I'm going to break this video up into 5 different parts. The first part, we're going to cover up on top of here, on top of the dam wall. We are going to then get down and explore around the air chamber. After that, we're going to do some exploring on some of the exposed cliffs. I'm also going to take you down to the drainage pipe where the water is discharging out of here. And lastly, we're going to make a trip to the very rear portion of the reservoir where the Bear Creek is actually flowing into it. What an incredible sight. First glance, and I think I referenced it before, this reminds me of Lake Mead, where the Hoover Dam is. And in 2023, the earlier parts of it, the water was extremely low, and the landscape looked very similar to this, where everything is just dropped down. You can see where the water line is, and everything's exposed. You see the air chamber there. There is a catwalk that goes out to it, which we can't access, but there are some placards here that say Francis E. Walter Dam Reservoir, U.S. Army, Corps of Engineers, Philadelphia District. And construction dates are May 1956 to June 1961. And the unique thing is that, excuse me, down there is a road. That used to be the original road before this road got put in. This was put in sometime in the early to mid 2000s. I don't know the specific date. This was added in later years. That was the original road. And in the high water times, which is the summer months, that is completely buried, or submerged, I should say. And we'll get down there because I actually kayaked down there. I was over it, not even realizing it. And now you can actually drive your car down there if you wanted to. But such a fascinating looking area. Just some basic facts. This is known as the guardian of the Lehigh River Valley. The dam was completed January 1961. The dam is 234 feet tall and 3,000 feet wide at the top, with a capacity of 36 billion gallons of water. The original road was constructed through the dam, but a new road was created across the top of the dam in the early 2000s. Now, the Lehigh River does flow into this from around the bend further up in the valley there. So this is kind of a midpoint. Not only does this protect areas in the Lehigh Valley, but this also controls the water flow and the water depth of the Lehigh River heading out of here down towards Jim Thorpe. So they actually do water releases periodically throughout the summer so that the river rafting companies have sufficient water even during dry spells, so they can release higher amounts of water, raise the river level, and keep their rafting business going throughout the season. What an incredible sight. So I launched my kayak right down there when I was here kayaking. And little did I know what the landscape was like underneath us. I know to some people, it's just, you know, a body of water, it's just a reservoir, nothing special, but as I've said, me being a Pisces, I'm always drawn to water, and I absolutely love locations like this. And I document other places too, such as Rocky Glen Park when they drain the lake, the number 7 reservoir in Dunmore where they drain that, and here as well, and there might even be more. But I love seeing what the landscape is like beneath the water. That's why I do a lot of snorkeling and stuff like that. But being able to have access and a clear visual of what the land is like beneath the surface when the water is drawn down, to me, it's really fascinating. That's why I love coming and seeing it and just, you know, taking in how steep the banks are, where the vegetation line starts and stops. And here we are above the discharge pipe. They do control the flow based on the water depth that they want to have. It is pretty much low time right now, and they do actually update it on their Facebook page regularly, what the outflow is, what the depth is, so you can keep track of it. And we're going to get down there and check out a bit more of the area, because I didn't know there was a little type of retention pond over there. And I'm hoping I could get closer to that pipe. And I also do have some information about that pipe too that I didn't have originally, so that's going to be a bit more fascinating this time, a bit more interesting, because we're going to not only learn a little bit more about it, but we'll be able to see more of it. All right, stop number 1 is complete. We explored the top of the dam here, learned a little bit about it. Now we're going to head down to the air chamber area and check that out. I'm now at the parking area for the kayak launch. And I'm going to show you exactly where I went to launch my kayak. And we're going to see the clear difference as to how it looks today. Came down this little set of steps. And pretty much starting here, I was in the water. The water line unofficially is here. And you can see this is the old road, which was submerged. You can actually see how heavily it's rusted. So on the road here, you can see the dirt line, the water line. So that would be dry on up. Right now I'd be standing in water. And this is heavily rusted from being submerged several months out of the year. And this is all underwater here. And actually, when I was kayaking, I did get some underwater footage of me floating above the guardrail. Guardrail right here that you see behind me is underneath the water here, because this is a road in the off season. Actually just went over it. Thankfully I didn't scrape on it. Right there. But then you look past the guardrail and look how far down it goes. I had no idea it was this deep of a drop off. And where I'm looking right now is basically the whole area that I kayaked. I was kayaking around the chamber. I went all the way around it. I was in the middle section here. And I also went around the bend towards where the Lehigh River does flow in. There's some cliff faces back there. Then I came straight across over here where there's some more cliff faces. That's where we're going to head over to after this. But yeah, this is mind-blowing knowing how deep this really was. Fun fact for you, this control tower, which I call an air chamber, is 254 feet in height. It's a big one. I remember my first time here too, I was talking to an old timer who's a local, and he was telling me some really interesting stuff about this place. But he was correct. There's actually like gates down there, and you could see like the inlet, I guess you could say. I'm hoping we could get down there and actually walk around on that. That'll be pretty awesome, because we're going to be able to see truly how much we'd be underwater, because the water line is pretty much even with us right now. Probably can't see it here at the sunlight, but I will show you from a different angle. But right now where I'm standing, I would be under a few feet of water up to my probably stomach or chest, if not more. And here we are in the shadow, so here's a good spot. Yeah, right now, roughly where my head is just under the water line there at 1370. And I think as of today, it's down to 1300 now in regards to the elevation above sea level, I think it is. I remember somebody commented about that, but I was under the assumption, I'm like, holy crap, is this really 1300 feet? No, it's not truly that, but the normal water mark does show 1370. Looks like it has gone up to 1393 before, and it's supposed to be around 1300 today as of the reporting on their Facebook page. Now, one thing you can do if you do want to get more information and to see some construction photos of when this place was being built, their Facebook page has all that information there, so we'll link it down below. Now, if you were to take the dam wall road all the way across, it does come around the back and comes down here. And that is the boat launch in the warmer months. You could launch your fishing boat here, and it goes right into the water. Water line is about a quarter of the way up the road there, for the low mark at least. But now we're down here at the bottom. We just walked all the way down. The guardrail down here is really heavily pitted and rusted, but as you can see, it's a fantastic place to come walking, exploring, like that individual there walking her dogs. And we're at the crest of the water line here. As of today, there's some ice down here. It was in the 20s overnight. And I'm gonna walk out there, and we're gonna explore around that air chamber, that tower there. This is pretty much postcard worthy. This looks amazing. The water's like glass. When I was kayaking here, there was like steady winds from like 10 to 20 miles an hour. A day like today is perfect. There's literally a 1 to 2 mile per hour breeze. Dark blue skies, got the reflection on the water. Make sure you stay tuned for the photo montage. I'll be sharing that later, and you'll be able to see some of the picturesque scenes I captured on my smartphone. Unfortunately, I don't think we could go on this platform. They do have some signs here warning government property, no trespassing. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything damaging to it, but I guess we should adhere to the signs. But we are now at the base and underneath the control tower. What a shot. 254 feet above us. And it may or may not be coming through on camera, through the audio, but there is a sound of air, almost like a fan, like a, I don't know how to describe it, but there's an air sound, and that is the vent that prevents us from having a hydro lock with the water going through the pipe. Now we can't go, excuse me, on the platform. There's nothing saying that we can't go on the ledge here to get some views of it. It does say water is subject to sudden rise and turbulence. And man, we are really deep underwater. I guess we'd be about, 70 feet underwater right now. And this is the landscape that's beneath the road and that I was kayaking over. Truly amazing. Let's get up there and get some views looking towards the inlet of this area. Hopefully the camera will keep tracking me. I do have tracking on, and we should be able to get over here and you guys could see what it's like. There's some loose rocks there. Now just imagine if you were boating above here and you were to drop something in the water, like your cell phone, your keys, you would never get it unless you came this time of year when everything's exposed. And even then, there's no guarantee you're gonna find it. You know, we're just roughly between 60, 70 feet down beneath the water surface. It's just kind of hard to wrap my head around it. It's like a whole nother landscape. Well, there's a nice ledge here, which makes doing this permissible because it's not all that dangerous as long as you use some common sense. I'm actually gonna come down here. Right along the edge. Yeah, so here looking down, the rock face just keeps going down. The water, I don't even know how much more deeper it goes, but I can't see the bottom. This is actually a nice little spot here. Have it all to myself, and you guys as well. I'll see if I can find out how deep it truly is. I'd imagine it goes down at least another 20, 30 feet, if not more. And just to think how far the concrete that this is sitting on is implanted into the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down 30, 40 feet. Well, it looks like the camera tracked me. No problem. I know you guys want to come over here as well, so I came back and got you. And we're gonna go over here near the edge and take in the sights. Oh, almost rolled an ankle there. Surveyor mark, Corps of Engineers, U.S. Army, 1971. Implanted on this rock, which is normally under quite a bit of water. The sheer rock face just drops straight down and keeps going like that into the water. Water is partially frozen here. But this is looking at the inlet, those little channels there. I really hope you guys are appreciating this as much as I am. And even if you're not, I'm still loving this. I could spend all day here just taking pictures, exploring, and just appreciating what this place is like. It's literally two different places in the summer and in the winter. The summertime, the water's at normal capacity, boaters, kayakers, people fishing. And then here, just months later, it's almost like a whole different world. Hiding in the shadows are some icicles here. Or as I like to call them, nature's frozen tears. Well, we'll chuck that in the water. Little splash. I can't help myself, I have to do it. That was rather disappointing. Well, it's time to say so long to the air chamber tower. And now we're going to make our way up lake, up reservoir, to the cliff area that I was kayaking next to back here in September. I was able to stick the camera down underwater, showing what that cliff face was like. Well, hopefully I could find it, and we'll truly be able to see what it's like when there's no water here. Look at that. That's a bald eagle. to see there's a truck down there. The gentleman was able to drive right down there. And normally, that truck would be under 70 feet of water. To get over here, I did walk through a section of woods. Not at the location yet, but I do think there's a bald eagle nest around here. There's 2 of them flying around. And one of them I think I got on camera for you. But we're going to continue up this way a bit more and hopefully locate that cliffside. There is a type of trail here. Just following that. Now, right where I'm walking normally is dry, and the water line is just down there below us. A lot of limestone here as well. I think we need to go, excuse me, scratchy throat today, around this bend here. And we should be looking directly almost across the opening in the water. That's where that cliff face was. So, got a little bit more to go. This trail is getting a bit more narrower. And there's some muddy, slippery spots too. Trying to take my time, be careful. At this point, the water would be just below us here. Here's looking back. And we're almost around where the bend is over there. Right now, we'd normally be underwater. The water does indeed come up this high. And I remember I was actually talking to an individual who was up here, just sitting, taking the views as I was kayaking by. But we are really high up here. I'm guessing right around 70 feet high. Wow, what a drop off. I'm hoping to see, the areas that I was exploring, but I think I maybe need to find a different way down. If there even is a way down. But the water line comes to right here. That's the high water mark. I think I'm in luck because I think I found the location. As we peer over this ledge here that we're standing on, right down here, these cliffs, this cliff wall, rock wall, looks really familiar from when I was here in my kayak. I think I was right around this area. So I remember I was in like a little cove area where I was protected from the wind. I'm pretty certain this is it. And I had my camera underwater, not able to see the bottom, but just showing that the rocks kept going down. And they go down quite a ways. If I can find a spot to kind of hang out here, I'm gonna get you some more footage. All right, this will work. I can hang out right here. So I could see with my own 2 eyes that the landscape is basically what we see here. And you can see the water line right here too. It's close to 1.5 to 2 feet. I honestly would love to get down there, excuse me, and show you the view from the bottom, but I either would have to backtrack all the way near the kayak launch or continue down and find access down there. It's just going to be too time consuming. But I'm about 90% certain this is the location that we were kayaking next to. And around there is where I was as well. And the Lehigh River eventually makes its way through the valley from that direction. I'm going to try to get a different vantage point just to show. If you fall here, it's game over. There's nothing to stop you. and you're just going to land on rocks. If you survive, you're going to be in excruciating pain. I'm actually getting a little nervous myself just walking. That is a long ways down. And that's where I was just standing, right there. When I say to get out and explore your world, this is what I mean. That is quite a sight. What a view. I'm actually breaking a sweat too, hiking over here. Came quite a ways. But that means we have 2 locations left. I need to backtrack where I came from, go on the other side of the dam wall, and go down to the discharge pipe. And we're going to explore that area next. All right, after a long ways down, we're now on the other side of the dam, the back side of it. Right down here, below the fenced-in area, is the discharge pipe. I'm going to show you that in just a little bit, but first I want to continue further down because from up top we saw some type of little collection pond area, which I haven't seen before. So we'll check that out first and then head over to the pipe. And just take a moment to appreciate the work that went into creating this. That is tons upon tons upon tons of rocks and boulders. If you remember earlier in the video, we were standing up there, right where that break is between the guardrail. And we were looking down from there, and I'm like, oh, a little type of retention pond, which I didn't remember seeing. And there is indeed one here. Water is not deep, maybe 2 to 3 feet deep of water. Crystal clear though. And there's a little spillway right there as like an overflow. And then over here is where the water is coming out from the discharge pipe. The one thing I need to say though, and I say this with the most appreciation possible, is that this place truly gives you almost full access to everything. Not only are you allowed to be down here and be the places we were today, it's just really accommodating. I mean, they have picnic tables at certain areas. There's porta-johns, plenty of parking. Most reservoirs don't allow you access not only to just the property itself, but if they do, it's usually limited access. Where here, you're truly getting full access. So I think that's a really awesome thing that they allow you to come here and to experience what this place has to offer. Whether you want to stop and have a picnic, fishing, boating, hiking, you have endless options with gorgeous views. That is some nice clean water. Even has a slight bluish greenish hue to it right there in the center. I want to go over there and check out that spillway, see what's on the other side of that. If I haven't said it before, I really love this camera. The fact that I can leave it there, it tracks me perfectly, and you can hear me as if I was right next to you. It's a great addition to the channel. So what you'll see in a second is on the other side of this wall here is just a larger version of this. There's the rocks here, another collection area of water, and then eventually it goes around this little island here and connects with the flowing water over there. Nice, clear water though. Now, what many of you have been waiting for, the discharge pipe. When I get over there, I'm going to do it in a safe way where you guys will be positioned near the fence area. You'll be able to see me approach the pipe. I don't know how close I'll be able to get, and I'll have my second camera, my Action 3, with me to get some footage closer by. So you'll have 2 different perspectives, and I do have a couple of fun facts I'll share with you about the pipe as well. Well, here we are, the discharge pipe. It may sound really loud, not sure if you can hear me, I'm going to try the noise reduction feature, see if that makes a difference. Alright, I now have noise reduction on. Hopefully you can hear me better. Less of that. I didn't want that to overpower my voice. Now this is actually flowing more than I was anticipating. Being that the water level is low, I was thinking it's just going to be kind of coming out of here slowly. But it's coming out of here at a rapid rate. I guess that's to keep the level low. Otherwise, if it was going too slow, it would fill back up. But I'm going to climb up here, hopefully get some views. You should still be able to hear me, and I'll film what I can with my secondary camera. And I can't get too close. The landscape here is pretty steep and loose material, but that is flowing out at a good rate. Now what I can tell you, 2 facts. The diameter of that pipe is 16 feet. The length of it is 1,150 feet from end to end. And it goes directly under the dam wall. And all this water continues up with the Lehigh River through Whitehaven, Jim Thorpe, Lehighton, point south. And this is responsible for controlling the flow and the depth of the water in the summer season. Just to know they bored that hole though through that solid rock face. A couple guys down here fishing too, probably a good area. I wonder if fish do come through the inlet and come out here, or if there's a gate to stop them. That I don't know. Would be kind of curious to find out. Wonder how it would be if I had my inflatable rubber duck come down here. I don't think it would survive. I want you just to take a second to observe the water and what it's doing. Right in front of us here, obviously it's coming out, but if you watch, it's swirling around and almost moving the opposite direction against the flow. Now that this is out of the way, we have one final location left. This location we have to drive to. I need to get to the rear portion of the reservoir where the water is flowing into it. So as Biff would say from Back to the Future, time to make like a tree and get out of here. After driving a few miles, we're now at our last location, which is actually my first location when I first came to this place during my roadside finds video. I'm going to show you on Google Maps with Google Earth where I am right now in relation to the reservoir area, the dam. And the following footage you're going to see is footage from when I was here the first time, walking this same trail, approaching the same area, and you'll be able to see where the water is at. And then I'm going to fade to how it looks today. And here is how it looks today. Completely different. And right here where my feet are, I would be standing in water. I remember the water looked relatively shallow when I was here. This was all underwater. And I'm like, oh, it's not too deep. Little did I know, it drops. So it goes down quite a ways. And I can actually see two different water lines. You can see the tree line, which looks like a really high water line, and then slightly below that, another line where the vegetation does end. And that's like the normal water mark. So this is like a barren landscape couple dead trees that are normally several feet underwater. Really large boulder out there. But there is water flow. There is water flowing down, which does lead into the reservoir part towards the dam. So there are multiple sources of water. This does come from, I forget the exact name, Bear Creek Lake, Bear Creek Pond, but it's on 115. I've showed it before in other videos, but the water does come from there and probably other sources from little underground springs or streams or tributaries. But when I was here the first time, there was people kayaking out here, and I didn't realize it was that deep. I'd be tempted to go down there, but it looks like, I guess you would say, a mud pit. I'd probably sink up to my waist with how soft and saturated that ground is. It's not truly dry, especially with the snow that we had that melted, some freeze and thawing, and multiple days of heavy rain a few weeks ago. But it is a really incredible sight. The one thing I forgot to do, and I am guilty, I'll admit it was my mistake, I didn't bring my drone. When I was here the last time, or first time, whatever it was, I did bring my drone and was flying over here showing you what it looks like from the sky. I would have loved to show it today in comparison to that, because you know the water snakes through the valley there, and the lake part is over there. So mistake on my part, wasn't thinking that far ahead, but this will not be my last time here. I won't be here again during the winter time. Next time I come back, I'll be kayaking again in the spring or summer. But next, I guess you could say fall season, when the water does drop again, I'll be back to explore more areas. Probably back here, I'll get down closer and maybe even hike around the curve over there. You want to see something kind of cool? You see that big root system there? Well, it's bigger than you may think. Watch this. This is one heck of a piece of wood. Imagine having this as like a yard piece, or making some type of carving out of it. I don't even know. You'd have to get a crane to get this out of here. It's probably really, really old as well. But it's pretty cool. But that is what this place looks like in the off season when the water does drop, because I did learn, I don't know the specifics, but they do drain the water because I guess a while back there was an ice buildup or an ice jam which damaged some of the structures or property or something. So they now drain it so that if it was to freeze, there was minimal damage that could happen. That's what I heard. If you know otherwise, feel free to share. Would love to hear your thoughts on what your favorite area was. I think I did a good job covering all the major points, and even great seeing certain areas that I was floating above on my kayak. But this is a really fantastic place. If you haven't been here, I highly recommend coming here to do whatever you want, hike, photography, boating, fishing. And when I say boating, fishing boats, you know, you can't bring like your pontoon boat and do that type of stuff, but you can have a picnic here, exploring, whatever you want. But it's free. It's not too far from Jim Thorpe, not too far from Wilkes-Barre, and there's countless things to see and do. But I do want to thank you personally for coming along for today's adventure. Your support does mean a lot. And to see more videos like this, there will be a playlist, and any information I mentioned earlier will be linked down below. Take care, stay safe, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.